44-year-old James Steed Biddle is behind bars for shooting and injuring his 67-year-old mother Tomlene Green at a nursing home. At 5:12 p.m. on Monday the 23rd of October, authorities responded to Trinity Healthcare Services nursing home at 135 Bills Branch Road in Lawson, West Virginia on reports of a shooting. Responding officers learnt that James shot his mother before fleeing the scene in a silver Chevrolet truck. Tomlene suffered a gunshot wound to her chest and was transported to Charleston Area Medical Center by helicopter. She remains hospitalized in a stable condition. Authorities said that as Logan County deputies made their way to the nursing home, state troopers located and stopped James's vehicle on US Highway 119 near the Chapmanville exit, about 5 miles away from the nursing home, and he was taken into custody. During an interview with officials, James confessed to shooting his mother. He told investigators that he drove down to see his mother, and she looked at him a certain way and he didn't like it. He then pulled out a concealed firearm and shot her in the chest. James is charged with attempted murder, malicious wounding and wanton endangerment. Authorities said that the wanton endangerment charge was filed because there was a roommate in their mother's room at the time of the shooting. James is held at the Southwestern Regional Jail on a $100,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 23-year-old woman is behind bars in connection to the death of her 5-year-old son. At just before 8 a.m. on Thursday the 19th of October, the Gwinnett County Police and Fire Departments responded to an apartment fire at 4900 Springs Lane in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. A resident on the upper level called 911 when they heard a fire alarm coming from an apartment on the ground floor. After making entry into the apartment, firefighters found 2 small fires and an unresponsive boy with multiple stab wounds. Authorities said he was the only person inside the residence while it was on fire. The boy was transported to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, where he was pronounced dead. He was identified as 5-year-old Javian Pruitt. At around 9:15 a.m, police found a woman behind the apartment complex with no shoes, wearing a single sock and wet clothes. She was identified as the child's mother, 23-year-old Azaria Shante Burton. She was taken to hospital for non-life-threatening injuries and was later questioned by police. Authorities said that she and her son lived in the apartment where the fire broke out. During the investigation, authorities determined that Azaria stabbed her son to death before setting the apartment on fire with her son inside. Police did not release a motive in the attack. However, Javian's mother was reportedly facing eviction. The boy's grandmother, Chastity Brown of Mississippi, said the killing came as a shock. Everything was so normal, she said. We're just talking to him on Wednesday. He said he had the best mum ever. He was just so precious. He loved his mum. He loved his dad. The boy's dad, DeQuaris Pruitt, said that Javian was supposed to visit him in Mississippi in a few weeks' time to celebrate his 6th birthday. He referred to his son's death as mind-boggling and a nightmare. He said his son was very energetic and he just loved life. He said he was trying to come to terms with what happened to his son, saying that Azaria loved the boy and took care of him. At 9:30 p.m. on Friday the 20th of October, Azaria was booked into the Gwinnett County Jail. She remains held without bond on charges of malice murder, felony murder, first-degree arson, aggravated assault, tampering with evidence, possession of a knife during a commission of certain crimes, and first-degree cruelty to children. The investigation into the matter continues. 2 women are behind bars for fatally stabbing a family member during a dispute. 32-year-old Jessica Bino and 59-year-old Angela Bino are charged with first-degree murder. The victim was identified as Suzette Ockibone, who was Jessica's grandmother and Angela's mother. Her age has not been disclosed. Jessica, Angela and Suzette all lived in a unit at 607 Virginia Street in Sioux City, Iowa. Authorities said that around 7 p.m. on Thursday the 26th of October, Jessica and Suzette got into an argument inside the premises and Angela eventually joined in. At some point, Jessica and Angela started punching Suzette. Angela then grabbed a candlestick and a hammer and beat her with those objects. Jessica then picked up a butcher's knife from the kitchen and fatally stabbed her grandmother. At 11:54 p.m, a neighbour in one of the units saw Jessica and Angela dragging the victim's body outside to the victim's car in the parking lot, attempting to put the body into the vehicle's trunk, prompting the witness to call police. When officers arrived, they found the deceased victim in the parking lot with multiple stab wounds. After investigating, police learnt that the altercation occurred at unit number 107, where they found Jessica and Angela as well as evidence of the stabbing. They were arrested and booked into the Woodbury County Jail with bonds set at $500,000 each. The investigation into the matter continues. A couple are behind bars for assaulting a man, stealing his car and tossing him into a river. On the 6th of October, The victim and 25-year-old Natalie Fonseca met on social media. Natalie asked the victim if he could help her with food as she was having monetary issues, so he met up with her at Express Smart at 202 East Olive Road in Pensacola, Florida. Once there, he drove her for about 2 miles to a taco food truck at 6680 North Palafox Street. He then drove about another 2 miles and dropped her off at her home at 7810 Oak Forest Drive. The victim later received a message from Natalie thanking him for the tacos, saying that they were very good. The next day, Natalie messaged the victim saying she wanted to see him again. The victim met up with Natalie at her home, where she introduced 31-year-old Nafis Reynolds as her uncle. At around 10 p.m, the trio got into the victim's vehicle to head to his home, but while they were in the car, Natalie and Nafis both started bashing the victim in the head and told him that he was going to die. The pair stole the victim's shoes, phone, $350 in cash, and the keys to his car. Natalie and Nafis took turns at cutting the victim's throat before throwing him over the bridge rail and into the Escambia River. The couple fled the scene in the stolen car, but the vehicle was later spotted at 9400 West Highway 98 after it had been set on fire. The victim survived the cuts as well as a fall from the bridge. He managed to swim to a patch of land where he collapsed from exhaustion and woke up the next morning. He then walked to Tom Thumb gas station at 10398 North Davis Highway, where he flagged down a deputy. The deputy said the victim was barefoot and struggling to stand, with large amounts of dry blood on his face, neck and hands. He was transported to Sacred Heart Hospital, where he underwent surgery and remained for several days. Following his release from hospital, the victim led officers to Natalie's home, which was familiar to them from a previous disturbance call in early September, where Natalie and Nafis identified themselves as girlfriend and boyfriend during that incident. Deputies also used surveillance video from a store and the victim's descriptions to identify Natalie and Nafis as the suspects in the attack. On Monday the 23rd of October, the pair were spotted walking at the intersection of Oak Forest Drive and Deborah Drive. They were arrested and both found to be in possession of fentanyl. They've both been charged with attempted murder, armed carjacking, armed robbery, arson, kidnapping and drug-related charges, and are held at the Escambia County Jail. Natalie's bond's been set at $852,000, while Nafis's has been set at $851,000. The investigation into the matter continues. 43-year-old Benjamin Lockett and his wife, 46-year-old Latricia Crawley, have been charged for abusing their 15-year-old niece for almost a decade. On Wednesday, the 25th of October, the victim contacted her online teacher for help and asked the instructor to send police to her home located at 224 Northwest 79th Terrace in Margate, Florida. When police arrived at the residence, the victim reportedly told the officers that Benjamin got angry at her because he suspected she ate some candy, so he punched her in the head and caused her head to hit into the corner of her desk. The girl sustained a large laceration to her forehead and other swelling. She was taken to Broward Health Coral Springs, where officers and medical personnel observed evidence of significant long-term trauma on her body, including scars that look like ligature marks, scar tissue, insect bite marks, bruising and malnutrition. A detective spoke with the victim, who said she had been in Latricia and Benjamin's custody since 2014. Since then, the couple willfully and maliciously tortured and abused her in ways that caused permanent disfigurement. When the victim was 11, Benjamin kicked her in the chin, which caused a permanent scar. In another instance, Latricia awed the girl's knees when she was 13 years old and forced her to kneel on rice for several hours at a time for several days in a row. Her knees became permanently disfigured. In 2021, Latricia tied the girl down and smashed her toes with a hammer. When the victim was 14 years old in 2022, the couple tied the girl to various objects with a nylon rope. After that, Latricia threw a pot of boiling water at the girl, leaving her with visible scars on her stomach. The couple locked the girl in 2 different closets and forced her to sleep there, sometimes binding her with zip ties, and left her with a bucket to use as a toilet. Latricia would pour cold water on the girl just to see her wake up. Latricia also taped her eyes shut and waterboarded her. The couple frequently starved the girl as a form of punishment, and police said that she had clear signs of starvation and malnutrition. The girl's since been placed into Child Protective Services custody. On the 25th of October, Latricia was arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse and child neglect with great bodily harm, while Benjamin was arrested for child abuse without great bodily harm. They've both since bonded out of the Broward County Jail. The investigation into the matter continues. On Friday the 13th of October 2023, Christina Knowles pleaded guilty to 5 counts of aggravated abuse of her 8-month-old infant son and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. On Monday, the 6th of February 2023, the Johnson City Police Department in Tennessee responded to Niswonger Children's Hospital emergency room in reference to abuse that occurred to a baby at an apartment. Christina's son suffered a fractured skull, a broken arm and other injuries. While interviewed by detectives, she admitted to throwing a wooden toy truck in an attempt to get it into the playpen when it struck the infant in the head. She also admitted to previously holding the infant's foot over a candle flame for about 2 minutes and pinched his ear because she was frustrated. She said injuries related to cigarette ash and falling off the couch had occurred while the child was unsupervised. Cheryl Hawkes, the victim's grandmother, told investigators that she had previously felt the need to intervene when she saw Christina become frustrated with the child and had seen her daughter yell and shake the infant on numerous occasions. She's also been charged because officials said she knowingly failed to protect the child from abuse. Cheryl's due in court on the 1st of December. 23-year-old Savannah Reynolds is behind bars in connection to the death of a newborn baby. On the 18th of October, Child Protective Services contacted the Gulfport Police Department in Mississippi regarding a complaint of child abuse. Through the course of the investigation, it was discovered that Savannah was 37 weeks pregnant when she gave birth to a child who later died. At the time of the victim's birth, the child had THC, amphetamines and fentanyl in its system. Detectives determined that Savannah took several pills that contained fentanyl and methamphetamine during and up to the week prior to giving birth. On the 20th of October, police arrested Savannah and charged her with felonious child abuse. She's held at the Harrison County Adult Detention Center on a $250,000 bond.